Hello, I'm Robin Joy of Glow360. Welcome to this webinar series in which I'm going to explain my proven process for achieving and maintaining your ideal weight, appearance and health. In this first webinar, I'm going to explain a cycle that I refer to as the weight loss, weight gain cycle. It's a cycle that I know really well because I was personally trapped in it for over 15 years and it caused me to put on 15 kilograms. The weight loss weight gain cycle explains the phenomenon of consistently fluctuating weight. Now, I don't know about you, but for as long as I can remember, I was either losing weight or gaining weight. I was never able to maintain my weight at a point that I was content with. And although I was always losing or gaining weight, the trend was that my weight was consistently going up. And the weight loss weight gain cycle does an excellent job of explaining why that was. And so as I take you through my experience of living the weight loss, weight gain cycle, all I ask is that you take a moment to reflect on your own experience. Because although it's unlikely to be exactly the same as mine, if you've been trying to lose weight for a while now, then I can almost guarantee there are going to be a number of similarities. And so my weight loss, weight gain cycle starts at a point that I refer to as my point of maximum density. Now, as I've just explained, for as long as I can remember, my weight was constantly fluctuating. And usually that was between, say, 2 to 4 kilograms. And as a result, in an attempt to help me try and maintain my weight, in my early 20s, I introduced a concept that I referred to as my point of maximum density, which was simply a weight that I identified as being my absolute upper limit. And so anytime my weight would hit my point of maximum density, two things would happen. The first is I'd panic. I'd panic that if I didn't do something immediately to turn things around, I'd soon find myself at a weight that would be impossible to get back from. That I'd cross some invisible line into a weight range that would require a level of motivation, discipline, and effort that I just wouldn't be able to muster. And so the second thing that would happen almost immediately following this very confronting realization is that I'd find myself feeling super motivated to make some positive lifestyle changes. Now, for me, that meant increasing the intensity of the exercise I was doing and decreasing the number of calories I was consuming by eating healthier. And inevitably, these changes would result in me losing weight. Now, maybe that was 4 or 5 kilograms, but more often than not, it was really only 2 or 3 before I'd reach a point that I referred to as my point of complacency, which again was simply a weight at which I believed I was out of danger of crossing that invisible line into the weight range of no return. And so upon reaching my point of complacency, I'd feel a sense of relief and pride. Relief that I was out of danger of becoming so overweight that I wasn't able to turn things around, and pride that I'd done the work required to get my weight back under control, although the truth was it was still a long way from that. And as a result of reaching my point of complacency, two things would happen. The first is I'd relax my weight loss efforts. For some reason, having done the hard work required to get my weight back on track, I'd convince myself that the trend would simply continue. And so the second thing that would happen is that I'd start to reintroduce behaviours that worked against weight management efforts, which meant that I'd start to decrease the frequency and/or intensity of the exercise I was doing, and I'd increase the number of calories I was consuming by allowing myself to indulge in foods that only a few weeks earlier I'd completely sworn off. And so every single time that I determined to make positive lifestyle changes to turn my weight around, I'd inevitably find myself justifying reintroducing the negative behaviours that I'd committed to cut and cutting the positive behaviours that I'd committed to introduce and maintain. And so each and every time without fail, I'd inevitably find myself right back at my point of maximum density. So that's an overview of my experience of unknowingly living the weight loss, weight gain cycle for over 15 years. But it all changed for good at the beginning of 2017. Now, in webinar 2, I will explain how it changed, but right now I want to explain why. Because if you've been trying to lose weight for a period of time, then it's a story that I'm sure you'll be able to relate very closely to. So my experience of living the weight loss, weight gain cycle changed at the beginning of 2017 when my point of maximum density hit a new all-time high. Now, when I first introduced the concept of having a point of maximum density, both my weight and point of maximum density were 75 kilograms. And yet here I was some 15 years later looking down at the scales, which now read 90 kilograms. And I realized that in the last 15 years, I'd slowly but surely put on 15 kilograms, even with my point of maximum density in place. And so even though my weight had only ever fluctuated by 2 to 4 kilograms, I would put on 4 kilograms and then I'd take off 2, and then I'd put on another 3 kilograms and take off 1. So even though my weight was constantly changing, the trend was consistently on the up. And so as I stood there looking down at the scales, I was overwhelmed by the realization that if I didn't do something dramatic and long-lasting, I would be 105 kilograms by the time I turned 60. Now that would have a seriously detrimental impact on my health, my mobility, and on my confidence, and on the plans that I had for myself and the rest of my life. And so I committed right there and then that I would implement the success mindset principles that I'd used successfully with my career, with my business, and with my executive coaching clients until I was securely back at my ideal weight of 75 kilograms. And so that's exactly what I did. And as well as losing the 15 kilograms in just 10 months, the experience revealed to me 3 absolutely crucial truths, which I'd not known about or needed when it came to my professional pursuits, but which in turn made me a better, more successful, and more compassionate coach. The first was that whenever I'd hit my point of maximum density, I'd intentionally change my behaviors to facilitate weight loss. The second was that whenever I'd hit my point of complacency, my behaviors would change unintentionally to facilitate weight gain. And so the third thing I learned was that the reason my behaviors changed, first intentionally and then unintentionally, was because the positive behaviors were being driven by my conscious, deliberate thoughts, and my negative behaviors were being driven by my subconscious or automatic thoughts, and that my point of complacency was in fact the point at which my conscious thoughts and behaviors would consistently give way to my subconscious thoughts and behaviors, or my inbuilt autopilot program, if you will, which I could now easily see were sabotaging my management efforts. And so from taking the time to really reflect on my own weight management journey, which had gone from being seriously frustrating and consistently unsuccessful to being hugely rewarding and really successful in just 10 months, I came to see that anyone wanting to change a consistently negative weight management experience first needed to identify and understand their subconscious thoughts, because they're what's driving 50 to 95% of our behaviors, and our behaviors are determining whether we're successful or not at managing our weight. So I hope you can see how it's your destructive subconscious thoughts that are the real problem, the real enemy preventing you from successfully managing your weight to be to your liking. And that consuming too many calories or not burning enough are in fact both symptoms or the result of these negative, destructive subconscious thoughts. And that addressing and changing these destructive subconscious thoughts is the first and crucial step in addressing and changing these destructive behaviors if you want to lose weight and keep it off. And so that's it for this first webinar. In webinar 2, I'm going to explain the solution to having destructive subconscious thoughts. So I really hope you can keep watching. See you next time.